Hey all, welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Colton here with Brandon. Not a ton to talk about, just the one event this weekend in Toronto. 46 teams, winning team Chainsaw Man, 8 book Date Alive, and 8 pants Spy Family. Brandon, is Dal coming back?
It's not your 8 standby Dal. You're fine. Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it's the good stuff Dal book list, right? You're essentially going into that at level 1, making sure if you get your reverses, you can essentially mill through your deck basically almost completely, right? Because it's 5 cards per lane, you're able to get the reverse or no target there to reverse, and able to effectively choose a character among that and get back to hand. So you're able to kind of go through 15 plus cards after your attack steps. So you're able to kind of have that kind of control over your deck to eventually end the end game, be able to effectively ditch a card to burn 3 and then mocha 1. So you have some decent control along the way, and you get to play the good stuff along the way, like the Neg Soul event, the My Little Shido. You have all those access points along the way. So yeah, it's basically everything but red in one deck.
Yeah, Dal still has a lot of good profiles. This deck allows you to play all of them. The top end is underrated. Like, we talk about these good, burn 3 top ends like in Quints. And this is basically the same thing. It just requires you to get a reverse, which technically you can play around defensively, but the power is there. Mm-hmm. It's not hard to get the power for the 8 book top end. The level 1 combo does require a reverse as well, or an open lane. So it doesn't necessarily do great against walled up stuff. It leans heavily into its Rickies. It really wants to get to 1 first so that it can get its combo and then, kind of snowball from there in terms of a power game. But as long as it stays on track, definitely still a solid list. The rest of top 4, 8 pants Slime. Not a list you see a whole lot anymore, but here we are. Alongside an Overlord and Caligura. 8 pants Spy Family, another Caligura, and another Chainsaw Man in third. In fourth, Chainsaw Man, Avatar, and a Guilty Gear. Rounding out the rest of top 8, we see more Chainsaw Man, 6 total in top 8, I think it was.
Yes.
So, Chainsaw Man continues to be the most popular deck in the Trios format. Overlord getting another top, getting another 2 tops as well. So, looks like maybe people are starting to figure out how to make Irons more consistent. It is also just better in a Trios format. Because it doesn't need to go X1 to make a top. The Overlord still has that chance to just get blown up before it can really get its game set up. But if it doesn't need to go X1 to top, it can instead, be a Swiss bully, because that is what it is. It does keep a lot of stuff out.
Well, one of the big things that it has with that too, that level 1 combo being able to effectively reach pretty decent power thresholds, especially if the wall line is not going to be that kind of 10k across the board. It's going to be a little bit smaller than that, which it seems to be, especially based off of what we see here. Most of these decks don't have that kind of 10k threshold, but even are actually more like 7, 8k.
Yeah.
There's a kind of level 1 threshold here. Overlord can get the reverses. If they can get the reverses, their engine, plus the engine online pretty quickly, allows them to be able to steamroll a little bit more. So yeah, absolutely. We're seeing a little bit more Overlord make its way into top.
So Overlord's starting to be a little bit more present, kind of the inverse of Slime.
Yes.
Right? I think that, you kind of made mention of that. There aren't as many big boards for Overlord to have to clear right now because Slime is dropping off a little bit. Slime doesn't bully Chainsaw Man the way that it bullies a lot of other things. It's more of a fair matchup for Chainsaw Man, whereas it can kind of do what it wants in spite of Slime's board. Whereas, that's what Slime wants to do, is kind of bully the board in addition to its plussing engine with the Murins. So it not really getting a whole lot of benefit specifically into the Chainsaw Man matchup, I think has seen some people maybe pull away from Slime a little bit, and Slime being less present opens the door for more Overlord.
Well, with Slime ban, you lost a little bit of consistency, right? So because of that, we've seen Slime drop off a little bit. As we see Slime drop off a little bit, Overlord steps up.
And I think that we're starting to see, the beginning of the season, we saw a bunch of Chainsaw Man. We expected to see that. It was Chainsaw Man kind of crashing headlong into what was good in the meta at the time. Now, with Chainsaw Man being so popular, you're going to run into it 2 or 3 times at this rate, right? If you're going to be a competitor at a high-level regional, you're going to see Chainsaw Man multiple times. So you need to have a plan for Chainsaw Man. So I think this meta is people are starting to pivot to things that they think match up better into Chainsaw Man specifically, which is why we don't see as many standby triggers here. Because you need to be pushing damage into Chainsaw Man. Like, board doesn't matter in the Chainsaw Man matchup. Not really. Because Chainsaw Man kind of just gets decent board for free. Playing a 1k1, like 1k1s are so back right now. Because they match up better into Chainsaw Man. Like 8-book Dal, decent matchup. Caligura, I would argue that's a good matchup for Caligura into Chainsaw Man. Because it can just throw a whole bunch of damage at the board and dare Chainsaw Man to keep up. Mm-hmm. So, and Overlord can kind of do something similar. So, I think that people are starting to intentionally pivot to stuff that they think can beat Chainsaw Man. And it'll be interesting to see how that develops over the next few weeks as maybe a new meta coalescing around, like a meta that revolves around the popularity of Chainsaw Man really starts to take form. And I think this is our first look at that. Chainsaw Man is going to continue to be on 5 or 6 teams in top 8 until it's not on 75% of these teams. Like, part of the reason it just keeps getting all these tops is because it's on most of the teams. And it's not even a set, it's a deck. All but one top, I think, this whole season for CSM has been this stock Soul Bar deck. It's the same deck over and over again, maybe 1 or 2 cards of difference. So, maybe they're changing the level 1 game up a little bit, but that's the only difference. It'll be interesting to see how people continue to respond. One of the ways they're responding, and I see that Bang Dream down there in top 8, the 8-choice Bang Dream, essentially a 12-choice Bang Dream, playing all of the choice support. It's also just playing good stuff. It has access to Buns for Luck. Its top end just summons extra attackers because that's what's in vogue, right? And it just denies reverses at level 1. So if you can get into level 1 before Chainsaw Man, and you get your first set of reverses, they come back, you push again, you're 8k, you're clearing everything that isn't Kishibe. Like, yeah, it makes sense. I think people are starting to intentionally plan into how they're going to deal with Chainsaw Man in the lanes where Chainsaw Man is not on their teams. Because everyone's still playing a Chainsaw Man on their team, pretty much. But the other 2 lanes, much more anti-Chainsaw Man specifically.
Yeah, so far our big 3 that we've seen over the past couple of weeks, realistically, has been Chainsaw Man, Overlord, and Avatar The Last Airbender. Spy Family coming up in those ranks, but those have been kind of like the big 3.
And Caligura's made 2 or 3 tops almost every tournament. Like, Caligura has been on probably... It's 2 or 3 teams. Pretty much every big regional so far this season you have seen that. So... Avatar not as big in this one, just the 2 tops for Avatar, so not quite as much as we have seen from it, but it's still obviously, just summoning extra attackers at will.
And I think that's what the Gutsuki here at 4th is kind of trying to do as well, being that bar top end to try to just spawn out the attackers to get the damage in.
Yep, and we also see the Pirates build making its way into top 8 as well, so maybe a Chainsaw Man meta is better for Guilty Gear than a Slime meta as well. That's something worth considering. I think that the shift from deck 1A being Slime, as it was coming into the season, and into Chainsaw Man, is going to drastically shift the meta because playing against Chainsaw Man is super different from playing against Slime.
Yeah.
And as more and more people are on Chainsaw Man, and more people come off of Slime because it doesn't have the beneficial matchup into CSM, we're going to see the meta continue to shift and evolve specifically around Chainsaw Man, especially here in trios. Does this mean that that's what the fall meta is going to look like? Absolutely not. Fall is so many months away. But for now, in this trios meta, you have to have a plan for Chainsaw Man because it's just on 3/4 of all these teams.
Yep. Yeah, kind of with that in mind as well, we should be getting a spring conference stream here pretty soon for English, with JP1 having wrapped up not that long ago. Especially in April, around that kind of like 3rd, 4th week of April is typically when that stream has come around. So I wouldn't be surprised if by the next Clock Talk in 2 weeks we've heard about a stream announcement date.
Yeah, it might have even happened. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
Give me Konosuba 3 English exclusive.
So I expect at that point in time, if there's going to be any kind of ban list update, it'll be at that point as well. The only reason I bring that up is because of the amount of Chainsaw Man that we have seen every single regional so far. It's still really early into that release. It's like 2 months.
And I would say that's too early if they hadn't done it before. In any case, that's the only thing we have to talk about, which is why we just rambled on it for a while, because there's nothing else to talk about. And then next week we'll have a deck of some sort, maybe some gameplay, well, videos. Until next time, thank you for joining us. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and have a good one.
We'll see you then.